Okay, kids. Uh, it's time to have another sit down because this is a question that came up in a stream, and apparently it's something that we need to go over again. Of course, I am talking about the NAP, the non aggression principle. And there are reasons why I don't like it. I do not agree with the non aggression principle. I think it is a load of crap. But the real important question here is why? Because on its surface, the non aggression principle seems perfectly defensible and reasonable. It's one of those common sense things. It's based on the premise of don't do unto others what you wouldn't have them do unto you, the golden rule. Just be a general nice person. The non-aggression principle. Sounds nice on the surface, and people just think that if we leave each other alone, that everything will be hunky-dory. Here's the problem. The NAP is not a guideline. It's not an ethos. It has become an abstract autismo focus of what the state should and should not do. And the reason why I don't like it pretty much is because we live in a society of subjective morality and the disintegration of social norms. This is to the degree that a cop's mere presence to a leftist or to a radical nobody piece of shit can constitute technical aggression. And I know this because I'm trained in that aggression. I am an armed security guard. I'm trained in the use of force. I'm trained to carry a firearm. That this is my bag. One of the first things that you learn in the legal sense, that this is legally defined, there is a continuum of force. The lowest form of force is literally your presence. You simply being there to deter stupidity can be legally construed as a form of force. To me, when you apply this to the non-aggression principle, just permits a whole load of shenanigans that we simply cannot allow. And the fact is, the non-aggression principle is shit because conservatives need to reestablish the fact that violence or force is necessary in every ordered society at the lowest common denominator. Always. It's always been that way, and it will never change. But let's go even further. Because the argument from the left against the non-aggression principle is to assume that there is some secret genius Ubermensch who is gathering all of the tools and all the resources and hoarding them so that no one in the world can have any resources, and they basically say, you will have to aggress my security devices to get to my resources. You have to starve yourselves and go thirsty because I, through my intellect, have secured all of this wealth and resource. And it's illegitimate for anyone to aggress against this person. And that's the leftist argument against the non-aggression principle. There's this one guy who somehow got everything and is depriving everyone else. And without force, there's no recourse against this violent tyrant. Well, the right's argument against the NAP is, a little more realistic. The right's argument, and there should be a right argument against the NAP. The right's argument against the NAP is that when it's taken to its logical conclusion, it leads to an unhinged world of roving bands of warlords, everyone reacting to petty infringements of various sorts that subverts any resemblance of an ordered society. It's basically a more realistic version of the left scenario, except instead of one Übermensch, you essentially will have multiple competing warbands. Thus, in my humble opinion, the non-aggression principle is ultimately a tool of subversion disguised as a pacifist virtue. Because reality doesn't change. Reality doesn't warp itself around our ideals and our expectations and our hopes and our dreams. Reality simply is what it is. And throughout all of human history, regardless of how liberal or how authoritarian, force is always justified at the lowest common denominator. Always. In every single case. And when you allow force, sorry, let me rephrase that. When you allow the application of force to be forbidden on the grounds that the use of force is a violation of the non-aggression principle, anything can become aggression. Anything. Merely standing one's ground, as per Nick Sandman, can be construed as a form of force. Also, the use of legitimate, and that's what this is all about. Even in liberalism, the NAP is a redundancy, because the use that is given to the force, that the state has a monopoly on force, so that private citizens cannot rob from one another indiscriminately. This makes the NAP, as a reflection on the government, very redundant and self-destructive. So remember this. Whenever you hear about the NAP, just remember it for what it is. It's a tool of subversion disguised as a pacifist virtue.